But without further ado, our first scholar, Bauer Burttschell. So Bauer is currently in NHS, student ambassadors, and theater. And when he's not in school, you can find him hanging out with his dog or watching TV with his family. Now, Bauer wants to study political science in an undecided university. And tonight, Bauer will be presenting on how social media has reformed the nature of communication and what the effects of the Reformation has on us in the present. Welcome, Bauer Burttschell.
All right, Bauer. Thank you, Ellen. Scientia est potentia. Knowledge is power. I believe the first time I ever heard the phrase was in my Latin class in elementary school. It was just one Latin platitude among the many others I had to memorize, but it wasn't until I grew older when I found out just how important this often referenced phrase really is. But before I get to that, allow me to take you back to the 1500s, where America was still just known as the New World, and conquistadors from all over sailed there for a chance at wealth and glory. Among these conquistadors was Francisco Pizarro from Spain, who was at the time leading a group of 200 men through the heart of Peru. And on his journey, he came across New World natives known as Incas. Now, instead of greeting these Incas with a warm welcome, Pizarro tortured them for information. And the information he gained not only led them to the location of Atahualpa, the king of the Incas, but also gave him a full picture of the king's army. And before long, Pizarro and his 200 men found himself face to face with Atahualpa and his tens of thousands of Inca soldiers. But despite the Incas' overwhelming numbers, Pizarro and his men were able to slaughter and conquer them all. But how? How was Pizarro able to overcome such insurmountable odds? Well, you see, Pizarro and the rest of Spain had one advantage that Atahualpa and the New World did not: knowledge. Spain had the knowledge to manufacture advanced weaponry such as guns and swords, which they would supply to Pizarro and the rest of the Spanish conquistadors. Pizarro's knowledge that he gained through torturing the stray Incas allowed him to both find and face the king head on, and confident in his clear material advantage. And even then, Pizarro's steel would still be useless against the Incas' numbers, if not for the fact that the New World was completely cut off from all overseas knowledge or communication, rendering Atahualpa and his men unprepared, unequipped, and perhaps most pressing of all, uninformed. From historic instances such as this, it became pretty clear that those who possess knowledge possess power, which meant that the best way to cripple your opponent with weakness was to leave them in the dark. Large tyrannical groups such as the Nazi regime and the Spanish Inquisition utilized censorship in this way to monopolize power by cutting off knowledge from all those who opposed them. And for centuries it went on like this, where large groups were able to stamp out the voices of those who stood as individuals like authors and activists. But in 1997, an invention would arise that would flip the progression of history on its head by putting knowledge and, by extension, power right back into the individual's hands. This invention, of course, being social media. You see, social media has completely revolutionized the flow of information. Applications such as iMessage, Skype, Google Mail, Facebook, TikTok, and countless others all offer new and highly improved ways to distribute, consume, and process knowledge. And social media is able to do this due to its three main facets. And to demonstrate the first of these facets, I'd like for all of you to do me a favor. Please, if you would, remove your phone from your pocket and hold it up in the air as such. Good. Now, everyone, take a look around. I want you to see how, even though we may not know it, we are constantly surrounded by devices with social media. But not just right now at this instant. From the computers that sit at our desks, to the television screens mounted on our walls, and even the smartwatches attached to our wrists, nearly all internet-connecting electronic devices we own grant us limitless access to social media. And even then, no matter how far we stray from our house, what forever binds us to the sphere of social media is the small yet all-powerful cellular device I hold in my hand right now. You see, social media completely revolutionized the flow of information because it's everywhere and it connects all of us. In other words, social media is all-encompassing. But it doesn't stop there. Prior to the age of social media, communication was more than toilsome, often requiring extensive traveling to exchange information by mouth, or days to even months of waiting to exchange information by parchment. But social media offers a way to eradicate this time constraint, as many social media sites offer direct messaging, personal message boards, and video conferencing that all require little to no time or money to set up. If I want to make my voice heard and declare that Pulp Fiction is the greatest movie in cinematic history, I am just an Instagram post or tweet away from publicizing my opinion to millions. This is because social media is instantaneous. But these two facets combine to make one more. Because only on social media platforms can spaces be found that combine individuals from all across the globe with different backgrounds, aspirations, and values to converge under one melting pot of open ideas and meaningful dialogue. So you see, at its best, social media acts as an infinite school of conversation, where users can step into a classroom of their choosing, decide whether or not to share their new information, grapple with new revelations, and perhaps even form all new perspectives. This is because social media is unifying. Essentially, these three facets have given all of us the power of knowledge, which may seem like an exclusively good thing. But drastically changing the course of history in such a way has certainly had its drawbacks, as the positive qualities making social media a juggernaut of communication are the very same negative qualities that are, in a sense, making social media a threat to our free speech. For instance, while social media is all-encompassing, allowing anyone to have access to the social media sphere anywhere, anytime, many individuals have started looking to social media as a credible news source. Problem being that many social media sites utilize an algorithm which acts as an echo chamber, which is a political buzzword used to describe algorithms that reward likes and watch time by feeding users posts they've shown interest in. Now, this algorithm on its own isn't inherently bad, especially when people consider sites like TikTok to be recreational apps. But when people start looking to TikTok for the status of today's political climate, all of a sudden you have people more divided than ever, not being able to see each other's perspectives because we are all being spoon-fed our own opinion over and over and over again. Similarly, while social media's instantaneousness does help the flow of productive conversation, it also advances the spread of misinformation. Because any individual can instantly express their thoughts to anyone at any time, many users have taken it upon themselves to exaggerate or fabricate information about well-known businesses, public figures, or political candidates. Sure, being able to instantly express your thoughts is great to create a stream of knowledge, but all it takes is one independent thinker to poison that stream with a false reality that will go on to infect more and more users until eventually the whole stream is corrupt. And finally, while social media does unify individuals from all across the globe to converge and discuss under one shared interest, it is no less than simple for a small flicker of false pretense to accumulate into a boiling pot of misinformation. And soon enough, once the masses are gathered, you'll see a war fought between social media users who are more divided than ever, viciously attacking each other using lies and half-truths as their weaponry. So, what does all of this mean for us? Well, as I grew up from that clueless elementary school kid, technology seemed to grow alongside me. And when I looked back at that bold Latin platitude, knowledge is power, I began to realize that, like the American dollar bill, knowledge was being printed out of almost nothing. No facts to back it up. You see, knowledge is slowly losing its value. And soon enough, my generation and I may be living in a world where knowledge is worthless. So, what can we do? Well, for my future research, I plan to try and toe the line between combating the negatives of social media while also preserving its element of free speech we've all come to know and love. Maybe I can develop a model that is able to revive that old dying phrase, knowledge is power. And hey, even if my model comes up short, at least I will have begun the conversation. And hopefully my generation can begin an ongoing dialogue where we all aid each other in traversing this strange new world of social media we've all been placed into. Thank you so much for your time, and I'll be around again for questions.